Hello, welcome. This video is in continuation of the previous video in which we talked about creating a detail and adding some detail components. In this video we're going to add some additional detail components and annotation to this detail and take a look at it. So let's clean this up a little bit, and I didn't explain this in the last video, but in regard to these break lines, which are detail components, and we're going to go ahead and clean this up so it's just like right there in the middle. If you wanted to, when you're installing those break lines, if you press the space bar, it allows those break lines to rotate around and flip from side to side. You might find that useful when you're putting these in. So let's go ahead and put in some details. We're going to put in some lumber sections. So if you go to annotate, go down again to detail component. We want to go ahead and load a family. And this is going to be under detail components again. And we want to go to the specific division, which is going to be wood and plastic, which sounds not really quite specific what we're looking for, but as soon as we get in here, there's a section 061100 wood framing that we want to go into. If you click in any of these buttons up here, it kind of gives you a preview of what you're looking at. What we're looking at is nominal cut lumber, like a 2x4, rather than a real 2x4. It gets planed down to 3.5 inches by 1.5 inches. And we want to get a section as opposed to a side or a top view. So let's go ahead and go to nominal cut lumber in the section. What it does is it takes us to an additional screen, and we're going to pick the lumber that we want. Now this is a 2x4 wall, and it's really 3.5 inches by 1.5 inches, which is this over here, or just a regular nominal 2x4. So if you just click on that and go to OK, it gives us that detail component that we want to use. And again with the spacebar, just like we did with the break line, if you click on that, it spins it around. Try to jump it into place, and you notice that it does go in there in the bottom. And if you do that right, you'll probably get that that padlock that'll allow you to lock it into place. And that looks good. So with this 2x4, I'm going to make probably a fire stop about halfway up the wall, and I probably want to have that off the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that end button on the dimension so it moves around a little bit, and then move this so it moves around at probably about 4 feet. I think would be okay. And if you don't get the right dimension in here, you can always change it here by just clicking on the dimension once you get into that element. So that's 4. This is going to be 3.5 or 3 foot 10 inches. We're going to make that 4 too, and so that listening dimension disappears, the temporary dimension disappears, but the more permanent one stays. That's going to be sort of part of our annotation we're going to be using in order to describe some of the elements within this detail. Something else we might want to do before we go on, let's get rid of this pad. This pad is kind of in the way. If we go to hide in view, hide that element. It only hides it in this view, and I think we're okay. And if we do that, we still have some stuff back here, and I think that's probably our topography. So we're going to go ahead and hide that too. And we're going to pick this up probably in the next film and show you how we're going to do some drafting on top of that. So we're going to hide that element. So all we have here is really just our concrete slabs and our wall, plus the detail components we've put in here so far. Alright, so let's go ahead and put in some insulation. This is really fun. It's really quick. It's already on the Annotate tab. We don't have to insert this. And it's a linear function in here, so all we have to do is click on the bottom of that insulation, go up to this top, and go from that top all the way up through the end of the model. And if you do that, you notice that the insulation kind of sticks out there. We have the ability to order some of the detail components we've put in here, so we definitely want this break line in front of the insulation. And the insulation is in front of the model that's behind it, so we can go ahead and order this. So we're going to bring that break line up front. So bring to front, or bring forward. Right, let's try that again. Let's bring it all the way to the front. And that should get rid of it. And got a little bit of the insulation back there. We can correct that by taking our break line and moving it up just a little bit more. Okay, that's it so far, but let's add some text before we leave this. If we go to the text button on the Annotate toolbar, and if you hit on that and go to the one with the double dog leg, we're going to, or the double leader line, one with the dog leg in it, we're going to add some annotations to this. So what we like to do is call this acoustic insulation, so that the factory floor is, so that the office is insulated from the factory floor. You notice that the text is really big, and it also said the text is out of bounds. So let's go ahead and correct that. When we show our boundaries here, our crop sections, there's actually two crop sections in here. We have an inside and outside. The inside one is for the view, and the outside one, just to control it a little bit better, is for our annotation. So if we pull this out far enough, we'll be able to pick up that annotation we just put in, that note we just put in. And once we do that, we can hide it. So that's it so far. In our next video, we're going to add some drafting elements to this, and we're also going to reduce our text size down to where it should be. So stay tuned.